North America's Titans, a tale of two neighbors. Welcome to our in-depth comparison of the USA and Canada. Now some of you might be thinking, isn't this a bit like comparing a roaring grizzly bear to, well, a very polite moose? And you wouldn't be entirely wrong. But trust me, there's more to this matchup than meets the eye. Today, we'll be looking at power, strength, and economy to see how these two North American giants stack up. We'll be digging into their militaries, their economies, and even their technological advancements because frankly, it's about time someone addressed the moose in the room. Military might bald eagles versus geese with laser vision. Alright, let's address the elephant, or perhaps more accurately, the eagle in the room, the US military. It's big, it's loud, and it has a budget larger than the GDP of many countries combined. We're talking aircraft carriers that could double as small cities, enough nuclear firepower to make Oppenheimer himself nervous, and more acronyms than a military-themed Scrabble tournament. It's the kind of military that makes you want to stand a bit straighter and salute something, even if you're not entirely sure what. But then, in the other corner, sporting a slightly more understated maple leaf patch on its fatigues, is Canada. Now I know what you're thinking, Canada? Isn't that where everyone is just really, really nice? And yes, while Canadians are exceptionally good at apologizing and saying, hey, their military isn't exactly something to be scoffed at, they've got a long and proud history of punching well above their weight class, from World War I trench warfare to peacekeeping missions around the globe. They may not have a Hollywood budget military, but they are respected worldwide for their professionalism and, dare I say, their surprising tenacity. Let's put it this way, if the US military is a massive, roaring grizzly bear, then the Canadian military is a highly trained, incredibly polite Wolverine. It may be smaller, but it's absolutely not something you want to mess with. And speaking of messing, let's talk numbers for a second because, let's be honest, that's what everyone really wants to know. The US spends more on defense than the next 10 countries combined, which is honestly a statistic that's just begging for a satirical breakdown, but we don't have time for that now. Canada, on the other hand, adopts a leaner approach, focusing on quality over sheer quantity. But here's the thing, military power isn't just about who has the most tanks or the shiniest missiles, it's about strategy, it's about alliances, and frankly, it's about knowing when to use all those shiny toys in the first place. And in the grand game of geopolitical chess, both the US and Canada have their own unique strategies. The US, with its global reach and boots-on-the-ground approach, often takes a more direct approach. Canada, on the other hand, punches above its weight class with its highly skilled, specialized forces, often focusing on peacekeeping and diplomacy. So, who wins in a head-to-head military showdown? Well, it's not exactly a fair fight, is it? It's like comparing apples and, well, hand grenades. Both have their uses, but you probably wouldn't want to eat the hand grenade. Economic engines Wall Street versus Bay Street, and a whole lot of timber. Alright, let's talk money, because isn't that what really matters in this world? When it comes to sheer economic muscle, the USA is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, their economy is bigger than a Texas-sized pile of $100 bills. And trust me, that's a lot of Benjamins. We're talking Wall Street, Silicon Valley, Hollywood, the whole shebang. The US economy is a behemoth, fueled by innovation, consumerism, and a healthy dose of good old-fashioned capitalism. They've got more Fortune 500 companies than you can shake a stick at, and their stock market is like the world's biggest, most volatile casino. But Canada? Canada. Our friends to the north might not have the same boisterous, in-your-face economy, but they've got something arguably more valuable: stability. Canada has consistently ranked as one of the most economically stable countries in the world. They're like the sensible, responsible friend who always pays their rent on time and has a well-stocked emergency fund. While the US economy is busy riding the roller coaster of boom and bust cycles, Canada is calmly sipping its maple syrup latte, enjoying its universal healthcare and generally high standard of living. Plus, let's not forget about their abundance of natural resources. I mean, have you seen the size of Canada? It's basically one giant national park with some cities sprinkled on top. They've got oil, lumber, minerals, you name it, they've probably got enough to last them until the next ice age. And let's not forget about their most valuable export: politeness. Seriously, have you ever met an unfriendly Canadian? It's like they've all been genetically engineered to be pleasant. But don't let the niceness fool you. Canada is a global player in its own right. They've got a robust manufacturing sector, a highly educated workforce, and a stable banking system that even withstood the 2008 financial crisis. They're like the quiet achiever in class who everyone underestimates until they graduate top of their class. So, who comes out on top in the economic arena? Well, it's not exactly a clear-cut victory for either side. The US might have the size and the flash, but Canada has the stability and the long game. It's like comparing a Lamborghini to a well-maintained Volvo. Sure, the Lamborghini is faster and flashier, but the Volvo will probably still be running when the Lamborghini's engine has long since blown a gasket. Chapter 3. Tech Titans, Silicon Valley versus Silicon Tundra. Let's be honest, when it comes to technological innovation, the United States is like that one kid in school who always had the latest gadgets. We're talking smartphones, social media giants, electric cars, you name it. The US is a breeding ground for all things techy and disruptive. Silicon Valley, with its casual hoodies and billion-dollar valuations, has become synonymous with cutting-edge technology and a move fast and break things mentality. From the invention of the internet to the rise of artificial intelligence, the US has been at the forefront of the digital revolution, shaping the way we live, work, and interact with the world. They've got more startups than you can shake a stick at, and their venture capitalists are like kids in a candy store, throwing money at anything with a good pitch deck and the promise of a 10-figure exit. But don't let the maple syrup lull you into a false sense of security. Canada has been quietly building a tech scene of its own. While they may not have the same flash and pizzazz as their southern neighbors, they're making waves in fields like artificial intelligence, clean energy, and biotechnology. We're talking about world-class universities churning out highly skilled graduates, government initiatives supporting research and development, and a growing number of startups attracting international attention. They may not have a Silicon Valley, or maybe it's a Silicon Tundra, but they're quietly becoming a global player in the tech world. And let's not forget about their secret weapon, their immigration policies. While the US seems hell-bent on building walls and making it harder for skilled workers to enter the country, Canada has been rolling out the welcome mat, attracting top talent from around the world. They're like the sensible, responsible friend who knows that diversity is a strength, not a weakness. So who comes out on top in the tech race? Well, the US might still be the reigning champion, but Canada is quickly catching up. It's like watching a tortoise and hare situation unfold in real time. The hare might have a head start, but the tortoise is slow and steady, and they just might surprise everyone in the end. Chapter 4. Nature's Bounty. From oil fields to maple syrup reserves. Alright, let's talk about the literal ground these two countries are built on. Because, let's face it, Mother Nature has a funny way of influencing geopolitics. When it comes to natural resources, it's almost embarrassing how much these two countries have. It's like the planet looked down, said, "You know what, you both deserve some extra goodies," and then showered them with an embarrassment of riches. Let's start with the US, shall we? From vast oil fields stretching across Texas to seemingly endless fields of corn in the Midwest, the US is a veritable buffet of natural resources. They've got enough coal to power 1,000 steam engines, enough natural gas to heat every home from sea to shining sea, and enough timber to build a log cabin for every man, woman, and child on the planet. And let's not forget about their agricultural output. The US is like the world's breadbasket, churning out enough wheat, corn, and soybeans to feed a small continent. They're basically the Oprah of agriculture. You get a corn subsidy, you get a corn subsidy, everybody gets a corn subsidy. But hold on a minute, because Canada isn't exactly a slouch in the natural resources department either. Remember what I said about Canada being one giant national park with some cities sprinkled on top? Well, those parks are teeming with valuable resources. We're talking about pristine forests teeming with timber, vast deposits of minerals like gold, silver, and diamonds, and enough fresh water to make the rest of the world jealous. And let's not forget about their most iconic natural resource, maple syrup. Seriously, the Canadians have turned sap extraction into an art form. But here's the thing, while both countries are blessed with an abundance of resources, their approaches to managing them couldn't be more different. The US, with its drill, baby drill mentality, has often prioritized short-term gains over long-term sustainability. Canada, on the other hand, has taken a more cautious approach, focusing on conservation, responsible development, and, dare I say, environmental stewardship. They're like the friend who actually recycles and brings their own bags to the grocery store. So, who wins in the natural resources showdown? Well, it's not really a competition, is it? Both countries are incredibly fortunate to have such an abundance of natural wealth. The real question is, who will manage their resources more wisely in the long run? Chapter 5. The good life, eh? Comparing quality of life. Okay, let's talk about what really matters. The everyday experience of actually living in these North American behemoths. Because at the end of the day, who cares about military might and economic prowess if you can't enjoy a decent quality of life? When it comes to the US, it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? On one hand, you've got the American dream, the idea that anyone, regardless of their background, can achieve success through hard work and determination. And there's no denying that the US offers incredible opportunities for those who have the drive and the means to pursue them. We're talking about world-class universities, cutting-edge healthcare for those who can afford it, and a vibrant cultural scene that's the envy of the world. Want to see a Broadway show? Go to New York. Want to hike in a redwood forest? Head to California? Want to eat your weight in barbecue? Texas is calling your name. But let's not sugarcoat things. The US also has its fair share of problems. Income inequality is a growing concern, with the gap between the rich and the poor widening every year. Healthcare costs are enough to make even the healthiest person break out in a cold sweat. And let's not even get started on the political climate, which is more divisive than a Thanksgiving dinner with your extended family. Now let's hop on up to Canada, shall we? Canada is like that friend who's always got their life together. They're financially responsible, they always remember your birthday, and they somehow manage to look effortlessly chic in a parka. They're like the envy of every other developed nation on the planet. They consistently rank highly in global happiness surveys, and for good reason. They've got universal healthcare, a strong social safety net, and a generally more relaxed pace of life. Plus, they've got poutine, which is basically a culinary hug in a bowl. But it's not all maple syrup and sunshine up north. Canada has its own set of challenges, including a high cost of living, particularly in major cities like Toronto and Vancouver. And while their healthcare system is often praised, it can also be slow and bureaucratic, with long wait times for certain procedures. So who comes out on top in the quality of life showdown? Well, it really depends on what you're looking for. The US offers excitement, opportunity, and the chance to chase your wildest dreams if you can afford it. Canada offers stability, security, and a more balanced approach to work and life. It's like choosing between a shot of espresso and a cup of herbal tea. The espresso will give you a quick jolt of energy, but the herbal tea will soothe your soul. So who wins? Spoiler alert, everyone. So there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour of the epic showdown between the USA and Canada. We've looked at their militaries, their economies, their technological advancements, their natural resources, and even their quality of life. And you know what we've learned? It's complicated. Both countries have their strengths and weaknesses, their charms and quirks. The US is a powerhouse of innovation and opportunity, while Canada offers stability and a more balanced way of life. It's like comparing apples and oranges, or perhaps more accurately, bald eagles and beavers. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below on which country you think comes out on top. And be sure to stay tuned for more exciting comparisons. Because frankly, there's nothing we love more than pitting two seemingly disparate things against each other and seeing what happens. It's like a train wreck, but for your brain. Stay curious, my friends.